Pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silent prayer for not only our town and our council people here, but our country. Amen. Okay, it is Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023, 5:30 in the evening. We're at the Town Municipal Center. Can I have a roll call, please?
Scott Markey.
Here.
Susan Webster's here. Elizabeth Skinner. Here. Mary Lynn Hickey. Here. Rebecca McLeod. Here. Greg Sheen.
Here.
Tom Hall.
Here. Okay, can we have a review of the minutes for the council meeting from August 8th? And I'll take any type of corrections or additions that need to be and common consent. Everything looked good to me, but
Craig made the motion for the end of the Liberty Street.
Greg did.
Greg did.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Was that on there?
It is,
No,
okay.
it's on there.
Okay, everybody okay with it? Common consent? Everybody, okay, common consent. All right, we have persons before council. We have Donna Coates with the community garden. So
Hello,
you
I'm
have the
Donna
floor.
Coates. I'm a gardener, a master gardener, and an organic gardener, and I've seen this little plot of land next door, and it sparked my interest, and I started digging around to find out what I could find out. I actually was able to talk to somebody who was more involved with it just a few minutes ago, Melissa, and I've learned there are a few things that she's happy to have somebody to help, which is great, and we both have kind of the same ideas, but there's a lack of water, and she explained to me that there was a means of getting it off the roof or something here, and they can't do that anymore. So she asked me to see if there was some way we could use a water truck, fire truck, or municipal truck of some sort to fill the container out there or something of water. Is that even possible? I don't know. But we want to try to get it going again. And I'd like to see it become something that the community can learn from. Because part of the way that I earned my Master Gardener certification was by teaching organic gardening. And I like that idea. And plus, I don't have a plot of land and I'm itching to get my fingers dirty. So,
Okay, all right, well, the only problem I know is we had a commitment last year. We left that open last year. We had a commitment from Melissa to work that over again and open things back up. We're going a season now without the garden. I mean, it was great when it was being taken care of.
mhm.
I mean, stepped over and got a couple tomatoes and stuff like that because it was really good. I don't know how this council feels about it. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but if somebody's going to commit, then we need to have that commitment. Other than that, I mean, we'll use the land for something else. So, like I said, I'll leave it to the council. That's my whole feeling. If we have a commitment, I want to see something happening over there. I don't want it grown up like because it's been like that all summer.
I know I was a little
You know.
bit shocked myself when
Yeah.
I saw it.
So my whole feeling is, I mean, we got to have somebody that's committed and they follow through, and it's not like half a season next year and then all of a sudden we're out of control again.
Yeah.
So that's my feeling, but I'll open it to council members.
I'm hearing a commitment from Donna to step up and want to be proactive in managing the garden, but it sounds like you have a very key missing component, which is water.
Mhm.
And so that's a problem that needs a solution. And I don't know if that's something that is within the council's purvey to help her solve, but
I mean, we got a hose up there that we could always, they've got a big barrel up there, but they had they had at one time, and I don't think it's there now because when,
She said when they put the deck on and changed things.
Joyce.
yeah, when they had a big thing up there that they had filled with water that would gravity feed to, use a hose to water everything.
Do we have an outside hydrant?
There was a hose
Here in the
upstairs, yes, yeah.
Well, then we can always supply a hose and maybe find some barrels or something.
Well, we pay for the water here in the town. The town office pays for its water.
What would happen if we used a rain barrel instead of rain barrel?
That's
on
what's
the-
up there right now. I believe that is a rain
But it's not
barrel.
a sufficient water source.
Yeah.
No, but that would certainly be a backup.
Right,
Mhm.
right. I mean, like I said, I've seen around these places got those big white containers. You clean them out, put water in it, fresh water in it. You can, we had it up kind of high so it could gravity feed and they could water whatever.
You can probably work with the master gardeners on finding some storage that would be equitable, and then
We could fill it. That's not a problem. I mean, we can always get water in the water tank
I
we
think that's a
have.
great idea.
I mean, I loved it when it was there, but I was kind of disappointed this year
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
we didn't get it back up and
It's a
running.
nice
It's just,
asset for
it's-
Wilk Street.
it's become a eyesore now because I know the chief and I was talking about it a couple weeks ago about just everything's grown up.
I think there's Johnson grass up there too. which we'd like to
Yes,
get rid of right away.
yes,
Yeah.
I've already had a
So,
discussion
I
with,
mean,
about that.
Donna, how many hours do you think you can commit to that?
Do you have other
For me, I'm outside at least 3 hours a day,
Yeah.
and if I have something to work, I probably do 3 hours a day at least.
You know, financially, has the town provided any startup dollars or anything for the garden?
No, they when they set the Morningstar set that up, they basically it was all sweat equity in what they put in, and they had all sorts of stuff up there. But then it grew too much that they couldn't handle it, and there was not enough people to help. I don't know if you've got anybody to even help you. That's a lot of work up there for one person.
Well, I've got
So-
some ideas.
So,
Yeah, And I've been working a lot of places, a lot of land that doesn't get a lot of water, so I have some ideas for that too. I mean, I would be trying to grow watermelons in there if we have a water problem, but there are other things that you can grow that don't take as much water. I would be definitely composting up there, all the weeds and things that are up there, and that would hold the water better and
Right.
stuff like that, so.
One year, what we did is the organization actually paid the town $100 to help cover the cost of water, I guess. And then what the group did is they rented out rows or areas in the garden for $10 to anybody that wanted to work in the garden, have their own little patch where they could grow stuff for themselves.
Melissa said that was very effective at the beginning, but COVID kind of took a turn on that,
yeah.
and they've had a hard time trying to get that going again. So
Were
I don't
these
know.
raised gardens there?
I'm sorry.
Were they raised gardens or
I
was
don't
it?
know. I wasn't involved with it. I don't know about
No,
that.
they weren't raised.
But
They
the soil is pretty
This,
good up
this,
there.
we had the soil tested. We, actually, the town paid to have that soil tested, to make sure it was good to grow in and everything. And,
Lee Barron said it was
Yeah,
the best
it was
soil in
best
Lorraine
soil.
County.
Yeah.
Well, I can't get dirty then.
yeah. So, I mean, for right now, I mean, if somebody's willing to work it, I don't even think right now, I'd just like to see it cleaned up, and maybe once
Well,
she
it
gets it
might-
going, she could come to approach us about, maybe getting people and selling little pieces and
Day of Caring is coming up. That would be a great project.
Do what?
The Day of Caring, September.
Yeah, Melissa said she's already contacted somebody about that. To be perfectly honest, I have a specialty on wild edibles, and so I make my own medicines and things like that. And I'm gonna go up there with a very discerning eye before I start ripping anything out. And if I do, I have another source that might also be interested in some of those weeds because they are more than just weeds to some of us. So.
Why don't you, put together more of a plan, maybe go back to Master Gardeners if you think that is a group that would be interested in it, and put together more of a plan. I mean, I'm I'm in favor of it, but you would need to put together a plan anyway. Something, a little more, who's gonna help, because it does take more than one person. That's what happened before. It got down to a couple,
Yeah.
and it was just too much. So,
But what I was told from Melissa just now, and I don't know, I'm just learning about all this stuff, that when they did the plots, individual plots, some people would pay their money, put in their stuff, and then they would just let it go crazy. And I'm not sure that's something I would rather be responsible for the whole thing. I mean, I've had gardens bigger than this, and if I'm going to get in there, I want to work the whole thing and not be sitting there watching somebody else grow something that's going to come over and get into my stuff, So.
well, I don't know if that's something you'd like to do as far as getting back with National Garden. Or, what group, a segment of that group maybe, okay, I'm gonna devote some time to this. Because you are gonna need help, and I think that's what council's concerned about.
Well,
We'll take this
And it
on
is a
and
public
then,
space.
Here's another thought I had. I've already talked to somebody at the House of Hope. Originally, when they talked about putting that place in, they talked about having gentlemen in there, but they've decided now that they're going to ship them to Winchester. So the House of Hope, from what I understand, is now going to be ladies and children. And it seems to me that would be an excellent opportunity for those ladies to teach their children and, not only utilize the product that we might be able to provide them at the shelter, but help to learn how to grow their own stuff too.
well, I think it's all.
I think it's a great idea.
It's all good.
It
You
needs a
know.
little more maybe formulation.
Right, just a written
Give it a
plan,
couple weeks. Yeah.
written plan, and also, Donna, it's now almost the end of August. What are we looking at for like a harvest season ahead of us?
Melissa just told me that she'd be willing to go in there and cut down some of what she could get to
Okay,
and start putting in something like pumpkins or something.
Hmm.
So for me, I don't normally utilize the fall very much when I garden. I usually do the spring because by now all the bugs are out, and you're fighting them. But
right.
in the early spring you aren't, so you have a better shot. So, oh yeah, spinach, kale, yeah. Mhm.
All right, so is that the feeling with everybody? Let her come back. You can come back by next meeting and, because I'd like to get that thing under control, honestly.
And
And
Barb,
thank you for your
Barb will help you
interest.
too.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Yes.
That's,
Thank you.
that's great. Okay, we don't have anybody else before council right now. So we're gonna move on to communications from there. I got a few things.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you want to introduce Jeff DeVal because he couldn't come at the last meeting?
And it's
Uh,
just-
He's down there at Streetscape.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not see that.
Okay, yeah, so, I know there's one other fellow here with, the Jeeps. I don't know if you guys would want to bring him forward real quick. He's not on the agenda, but he's here to talk to us about wanting to, they're doing a thing this weekend plus a couple other
We need
dates.
to amend the agenda to do that. Or-
Okay,
Well, I don't think it would have to be.
Okay.
We're bringing somebody into this same.
that's
Agenda items.
okay. Well, let's bring him forward in case he's got something else to get into tonight. So he can explain. You've got some information in your packet here with what they want to do. So
Yeah, it's all the way at the back.
all the way.
All the way at the back. It was the last thing because I thought it would be at the end of the agenda.
Yeah, right here.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Demarinis. I am the CEO, President of Morgan County Jeepers. We are nonprofit. We have almost nationwide, well, just for the country so far, we have almost 443 contestants, people who joined the club. We are doing a couple of shows that are in the park, and we would just like to know, just for those events, that we wouldn't want anybody talking on 522. We're doing for this weekend, and we have Jeeper Creepers. That's for the Halloween trunk or treat. We're doing the one for the Christmas lights, all the Jeeps for the kids, and that's really what we're doing. Let's see, we did the Paw Paw Parade. We won. Oh,
Yeah,
Why don't
turn
you
around,
have a
kinda
seat,
let-
And you
because
can
we-
have a seat.
We
Oh,
can
that's
barely,
right.
we can barely
That's
hear
okay.
you because,
Yeah.
so,
There you go.
yeah, that's perfect.
well, we did the Paw Paw Parade. We didn't know we were getting judged. We won biggest participant and they gave us money. And I was like, I don't want the money. They're like, well, what do you gotta do? You gotta take the money. I took that money and donated it to the Paul Fire Department.
All right, very good.
Awesome, thank you.
Way to do it.
So that's what we are.
Okay, so you're
We're
just
doing-
looking to get the front spaces up on.
Just on
Washington-
522,
Right on Washington Street.
And your title, you're the, let's see, you're the CEO and.
President. I started this last year.
Yeah, they got that to be
Was
in the
another
park.
title?
No, that's it. I started this last year in McDonald's parking lot. I used to work at Advance on Saturdays, and then I would tell people that came in with Jeeps, would you like to hang out? We'll do a little Jeep hangout at McDonald's, and then all of a sudden, it just,
Blew up. So the dates that you're looking at is this weekend,
correct.
the 9/23/23,
Uh-huh,
10/28/23, and 12/9/23, right?
correct.
That would
That's,
be your four events
Here we
that you're
go.
looking at.
yeah.
Okay.
What was the one for October was that one we're gonna have to get into the park a little bit early, because we have a bunch of decorations we like to do,
Right.
so we can do the kids, hand out all the candies, do the trunk or treats, everything for them. And then for next year, we started. And then we already planned in for the apple butter, the Christmas parade, the Halloween parade in Hancock, and we just, every day we're getting 2 or 3 new members all the time.
Right.
And it's just, everybody's helping everybody out. We don't want to deal with any money.
Are all 4 of these in the Berkeley Springs State Park? All 4 of these events?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So what you're asking of us is the first block of South Washington Street not have parking on the street.
From there all the way down.
Where the
to
parking
you
meters
turn
are,
into
so when the
Washington
people-
Street or
Okay.
Yeah, just with those,
Correct.
Liberty
yeah.
Okay.
Street.
Because I forgot who told me this from Mountain State Cruises, that you would allow to do something like that when they have their car meets there.
Right, yeah, we get, you know.
Yeah, that's another thing. We're gonna try to join up with Mountain State Cruises, and we're gonna do Jeep and car, everything.
Okay.
So when we,
Chief, you have anything?
Now, the only concern that I would have is make sure that there's no other dates, that there's something else going on.
now, we might, for next year, we might do something for Memorial Day for all the veterans.
Okay.
That's what we
But you
think.
have the park now, you've already
yeah.
got there, so
Yeah.
you're the only one in the park on Friday night, right?
Saturday.
Or Saturday, I'm
Yeah, we
sorry.
do it on Saturday
Saturday.
evenings,
Okay.
and you know how many Jeeps run through this town, and for all the
Do we
trips.
have do they have the band in the park or whatever?
Yes, they're in the back, and they love us. We bring in more people. Yeah, they're back
I
over there.
think
with-
they're over the 8th.
Yeah,
Yeah, the 8th.
Yeah, they're off next Saturday and then the following Saturday is the last one.
Okay, all right.
The other concern that I have is, so the Jeeps are gonna be in the park, is that right?
Mhm.
Along with the cruisers when they have that here. So blocking those meters off, what is the goal of blocking the meters off?
well, I don't think the cruise, the
I
cruise.
think they do it so that they can be seen.
Yeah,
cars
that's
can
what
be
it was.
seen. I
Mountain
think,
State Cruises, I don't think they're gonna be there when we're there. They're there on the Fridays, we're doing Saturdays.
So the only thing that I would say in that is that this is just a thought that I'm having. So you're gonna block off parking spaces for an event that you want people to come to. So just kind of keep that
Yeah.
in mind.
okay. Yeah,
I have to put the fly in the ointment here. Sometime in September, the construction work in the park is gonna start. That construction work is gonna affect the run,
yeah,
the bridges over the run, and sidewalks. I can't tell you yet what happens when we're gonna have at least connected with the people from District 5 who are gonna be
right.
overseeing it for DOH, and there will be a pre-construction meeting. I'm trying to get into both District 5 and the contractor, the fact that there's things that are going on in the park and you gotta realize it, but that's a contract with
Yes,
the company.
yeah,
And we'll have work schedule, and there will be some rules relative to what and when they can do and what happens on weekends.
right.
All right, I'm aware of this, but I can't give you the details, so.
Or even if
One of
we,
the things I'd like to know is like you said, your dates. It may not affect you.
If there's a conflict, but we could just cancel
It
it.
affects, well, I don't know that that's the answer. But I don't know what's going to be torn up and
Right,
We're
yeah, we don't
trying-
know until we find out
Yeah.
with the pre-construction where our dates are gonna
We're
be at.
trying to allow visitors in the park, even while there's work going on.
It'll be tough.
It'll be tough, but I don't know that you want
Especially
to
for
shut down
something
the
like
park.
that. Yeah.
Well, why don't we do this? Look at this date this weekend, so that they can, because there's nothing going
Nothing
on
going
there.
on. What was the September
And
date?
then, you know, as they go along, because you have to apply again, have you applied to the park for
Yes.
all of them?
Yes.
So
Mr.
they have
Scott.
gone ahead and authorized
Yeah,
you to
everything.
have all these dates already.
Right.
How
Yeah,
many vehicles are you thinking will be in the park at one time?
Well, the first time we did it, we came out to
'Cause I know there were a
18,
lot in the parade.
18 or, oh yeah, we had, and that was just sharing it, and we had 24. Now, it's gonna be, for this year, it's gonna be a lot of Jeeps.
okay.
You know, all decorated up with the lights, everything.
These are all in the evening, they're all 5.
Yes.
Saturday evening.
They're all in the evenings.
Let's,
It should be okay, except that there may be some space that's taken up
Yeah.
for staging and.
Right, if there's
corners,
anything you
yeah,
just,
so It'll be.
I know
broken
Mr.
up.
Tom, he
Well,
could contact
I would
me,
think-
everybody.
Excuse me, I would think on weekends,
it ought to be
we
clear.
defer to events
Right,
and get it cleaned up and safe. On weekdays, you may defer to the work because they have a deadline. Anything we do to hold them up costs some money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's, but we gotta know about each other.
Right.
Right. And certainly the park never bothered to check on the contract.
yeah. Well, like I
That's
said,
what they
I'll
have me
let
for,
this up to the
apparently.
council. If somebody wants to make a,
So we need to ask them, the Jeepers, to come back each month at our regularly
I
scheduled
would
meeting.
say if we authorize when we find out something, as long as we have his phone number,
Oh, yeah.
or the park should be responsible. Scott and them down there should
Yes,
be
Scott or Miss
responsible.
Jamie.
You know, or we,
Yes, I'll work that out.
We actually authorized them this wasn't on the agenda.
Right.
I'm okay with it, I'm just saying.
it wasn't on the agenda, but like I said, he didn't realize, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Quickly, so when does the town hold its, what's trick or treat night for the town?
It would be
Halloween.
Halloween.
Halloween,
So
yes,
there's not
yeah.
gonna overlap. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Night of Halloween, it's always out.
Okay.
That's, we did that years
So do
ago.
we have to amend the agenda to add him now if we're going to take action?
Well, you can't really take
No.
action if it's not on the agenda. All you're asking from us though is to not
Back
have
parking meters.
the,
Yeah, have,
it is to,
cause I forgot who it was at Mountain State. They said, you gotta come here and then you gotta ask them because they want people to see the cars or the Jeeps or the cars from Mountain State when they drive up.
It's not really.
Well, can it just be a 1-2? Tonight we heard about it, next meeting we vote on it?
Yeah, but they're having it this weekend.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
It really don't matter for this weekend.
Is there any?
We still had more people that, even the people that were traveling, they saw the Jeeps and they pulled over with their Jeeps and they're like, what's going on? And we would tell.
Oh, that's right, you have no competition this Saturday because there's no
impact
concert.
for our
Right.
retailers?
That's why I figured we'd do it
Well,
Saturday
it's not gonna be
evenings.
affecting Fairfax, because we're not gonna have Fairfax shut down. It's just gonna be Washington Street, what, 5 or 6
Just
spaces.
522, Fairfax will remain metered,
Right,
so people can park there.
right. It's not gonna be shutting that down.
So it's not.
I would say for this one time, that, because we're not on the agenda, and
Right.
to legally do this, we would have to have it on the agenda.
Okay.
You know, so,
just do it with allow parking this week.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
No
then
problem.
these other
And then
dates,
we'll put it back on
we'll
the
put it on
agenda.
the agenda. I'll have her put it back on the agenda. You don't have to come because you presented what you wanted. And we'll get it on the agenda for our next meeting before your next one. And then we can take it squared up
Yeah,
that way.
everyone has my phone number and email, so.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So we'll do
I
that.
try, me emailing them.
Okay. Well, like I said, this weekend I would allow parking there, but we'll discuss it at our next meeting. We'll put it
Especially
on-
for the trunk or treat, and I think trunk or treat's gonna be big.
Oh, it's big.
Yeah,
It's all-
yeah,
it's-
so-
You know,
it's
we
not
already had
everybody.
people that with no Jeeps want to know if they could participate. We're like,
It's crazy.
Well, like I said, we'll put it on the agenda for the next 3 after this weekend, and we'll get it straightened out.
oh, thank you.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
nice evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Don't forget you got,
Oh, yeah, that was, where?
it's in my office.
Okay, I know, I forgot him yesterday.
Okay, it back. Okay, just to put a shout out, we've talked about it. I was approached by the fire department, Berkeley Springs Fire Department. They are in need of a new fire truck. Their trucks are aging, starting to have some major repair bills. They have looked at new fire trucks. One that they probably are looking at is going to cost the fire department $1.2 million. Plus another 6,000 to 8,000 to outfit that vehicle with the proper firefighting equipment. So I've instructed our grant committee to go in and see if they can find any grants to help the fire department in some way of purchasing a fire truck. If there's anybody out there that would like to help the fire department, this is a need. This is our fire department in town. It's listed in our books as the fire department that we have for fire protection in this community. So I would implore anybody that would be willing to go out, maybe help find money or whatever. That we're gonna talk about it here with the grants. The grant committee's already looking at it. So it's just kind of a heads up to the public that our fire department is in need of a new fire truck. They're not cheap, and it doesn't lock the price in. That 1.2 million takes 2 years to get a fire truck now. So by the time they order it 2 years from now, that price could go up. There is no locked in once you lock it in like it used to be. So fire department is in need. So I think we need to do everything we can to help our volunteers out, because it's all volunteers still right now. So these guys get up in the middle of the night. Believe me, I know all about it. I've done it for 30 years. Get up in the middle of the night. They work jobs, full-time jobs, most of them, and they're out all night fighting fire, and then they're back going to work the next morning with no sleep. So we're very thankful to have the volunteers that we have. So anyway,
Status of our boot drive situation.
they really, at this present time, I don't think have the manpower to do the food drives like they
You
used
get
to.
volunteers.
So I did not ask the chief that. He has already evidently approached the fire board, and he just put it out to me that they were going to have to do something soon. So
I think the grant committee should also work with Region 9, because this probably would be an area where there could be some help.
yeah, we could try that. I don't think they have that, but we could definitely try that. It might be like something they could find federally or something like that.
Right.
What are some of the parameters of our small city block grants?
We'll have to look into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd have to look into it, and that's what the grant
I
committee.
don't think that's gonna cover the block grant would cover a fire truck.
May.
We can certainly make sure that's the case.
We could try. We can only try, like I said. So that's just for general information. Okay, we'll move on. The senior center donations for their fundraiser. They've got get back here to the page. They are doing a 25 days of Christmas fundraiser. And it's going to be as a nonprofit organization. The proceeds from the raffle tickets will go to fund their nutritional program. We're looking for items, gift cards, monetary, etc. donations may be tax deductible, and they got a big thing there. So if you know of anybody that would like to donate to that to help their nutrition center would be great, because a lot of seniors that go out there and they're able to eat and everything else. Sometimes these people, some of them don't have the money or be able to get the food sometimes, and they need that help. All right, moving on. Back to school bash. I don't know how it went. So
There was a picture in the paper with cars lined up clear from Fairview Drive, from that road, clear.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of need in this community. We got a lot of young children, young people that their parents don't have a lot of money right now. So, you know, that anything to help them out. So, okay. And then the Mountain State Cruisers are requesting for the 2024 cruise ins, their dates. Let's see. They want their dates. They're going to begin. It's going to be from May to September 2024. They will begin at 5 p.m. and end at 8 p.m. They will be using the Berkeley Springs State Park for these events, and they would like permission to block off Fairfax Street between US 522 and Wilkes for these events. The dates for the cruise-ins are May 3rd, June 7th, July 5th, August 2nd, September 6th, and October 4th. That will be from 5 to 8, and then additional June 15th, they'll be doing the annual Father's Day show. Every year we have let them do this. They've been doing it. I can't tell you how many years they've been doing this. You know, so don't see any change in what they're actually doing for the cruise ins.
I'll make a motion that we accept the request as presented.
I'll second.
And that's all going to be contingent on also with the with what's going on.
We should be done,
Should be done by then.
Better be.
but I can't promise anything.
Now,
I'm sorry, they're asking to block off Fairfax, 522 and Wilkes.
no. From 522 to Wilkes.
It's
That's
just that
Fairfax.
block in front of the coffee shop, all down to the water
Or
department.
the lake person block off Fairfax between 522 and Wilkes. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, what they do every year, or have done every year
Yeah,
for the past probably 10 years at least.
they
So-
park perpendicular to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah. All right, we got a motion second on the floor. Any more discussion with everybody? Anybody got any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Okay, also, 2 meetings ago, maybe it was about 2 meetings ago, we had a gentleman come in here about crosswalks, talk to us about crosswalks.
Kevin,
And I've got a few other things. I had put a call in, or actually, I had Sharon email the Secretary of Transportation in West Virginia. Now, she got a call from our local DOH with 5 minutes, 10 minutes after we did that, wanting to know what the situation was, whether there was something going on that they weren't aware of. And we told them that there wasn't anything that they could do. So I got a fellow by the name of Joe Parks. He left us an email to call him. I have a call into him. I've not talked to him yet, but I'm bringing up the crosswalks, the 2 down there, the 1 at the park, coming across from the Catholic Church, because that needs to be put back in, because that's right there at the park. There's no reason that can't be put back in. And then the next block up of citizens going across the country in. That was always there. Two of them. I'm going to be talking to him about that. I am also going to be talking to him about the streetlights.
who is Mr. Parks?
Mr. Parks he's the assistant
Email,
to.
yeah.
Hold on a sec. Get his information here.
When you say streetlights, do you mean the stoplights?
Stoplights. Yes, the stoplights. We're not getting enough vehicles through the stoplight down at Route 9 and 522 by Roy's. The chief and I had a meeting with, who was it? That guy was the head of it out here, right? Region or Burlington, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was from Burlington. We had a meeting and they basically got back and said there's nothing they can do. which I feel is totally unacceptable. Friday night, it lets 5 cars go through before it recycles. It lets 5 cars on 522 go this way. Now, if you come back later in the evening, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, it lets 10 or 15 cars through. And well, he said it's because of the traffic coming off of Route 9. Well, that's unacceptable. You know, I'm sorry, but you
It's
know,
never backed up around.
It's also
Yeah.
very bad for business.
Never.
this guy is,
Well,
anyway, he's,
7:45 in the morning, the school buses do back it up to
Yeah.
my house.
yeah.
But that's school
one
mornings,
part, yeah.
so.
This fella is Joseph M. Pack, PE, West Virginia Division of Highway, Chief Engineering Operations. So as soon as he calls me back, I'm going to talk to him. I am going to see if he'll come down here for a meeting.
And make sure you include our senator and delegates. I think we need to understand that they serve us, we don't serve.
We could do that. We can get on the same page if we can get them to come down here and discuss. So I am working on it. I am working on the crosswalks because I feel there's a need for it. I sat down with citizens the other day on Saturday afternoon, and there was 40, 50 people that went across that where that crosswalk should be. And there was no reason that it's good line of sight. There's no cars parked there. They told us when we went and talked to them 6 years ago, they told us that the problem was they didn't want to put sidewalks in other than where there was audible lights because there was no direct with cars parked. Well, they put all the ones in down here and you got cars parked. You could see those two very easily because there's no cars parked there. So there should be no reason that they shouldn't go back in. That's my feeling.
Agreed.
Scott, could you please add to your list, just to see if we're going to talk about crosswalks somewhere other than at lights? The crosswalk in front of the trail depot and the train depot, there's a lot more pedestrian traffic coming across that street. And they really need a crosswalk up there. Under the same reasoning, we're talking about all these others.
Right.
None of them are at lights. So if they say yes to one, what's the harm in
Well,
another
that's
one,
the thing.
particularly with the increase? And with the footprint that we're planning for the train depot lot, that there will be a lot more people traffic, a lot more special events, that it really makes sense to have a crosswalk up there.
Right.
You might need it like.
Right. Okay, I've got the detail.
We need a light.
Yeah,
I walk this town every day. And we are blessed with the fact that so many people will stop and let us walk across the
But that's West
crosswalk.
Virginia law here.
Yeah, well, you know, it's in
Yeah, but
Virginia
you're
too.
dead right too.
I know, but
Yeah.
I was just gonna suggest, I've seen in some places, there's a little sign that says, hey, we stop for the people in the crosswalk. And since that one might be a new one and it's so close to where everybody was flying at 55 there for a while, maybe it'd be good to put one of those up.
we had a crosswalk there originally. There
Oh,
was a
really?
crosswalk there, yes.
Right.
Yeah, we had that put in on my,
Long time ago,
Yeah.
when Mr. Henry, who was
Mr. Henry
blind,
lived there, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Henry
Yes,
was
I
blind,
do,
And he
absolutely.
was blind and did everything, you know, but he needed a little extra help,
Yeah.
so they did put that in.
yeah.
Yes, as long as you're gonna be discussing crosswalks, I suggest that you take a look at Martinsburg Road, Martinsburg and Green Street.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
see that from my sunroom. I watch visitors, especially coming from the B&Bs, they walk down Martinsburg Road. They have to cross. It's basically a blind turn because of the horseshoe or the dog leg turn. And so I find it very difficult to cross myself. I do it all the time, but it takes experience to know people who are coming in as visitors, they could get caught pretty easily. People come down that road. I won't say they drive badly or fast, but it's easy to get caught.
Right.
You know, if there is a crosswalk, I think people are going to learn to slow down, anticipate that there's going to be pedestrians.
Not there. What?
Why not do it?
I could try, but I don't
While
think
the
that's
hood's
gonna
up,
help.
Scott,
Right.
just
I'll-
go for the
The
goal.
town's gonna be painted white.
Yes, it just enhances the pedestrian friendly nature of the
Right.
downtown. And it's also with the traffic light problem, Scott, it's bad for business when folks are trying to get in here to spend their money and stay and all the things. And it takes them just way too long to get
Right.
here.
Right.
I remember the meeting 6 years ago.
Yep.
Right? And we got more than we were told we'd get. And
Yeah, but they told us that they would replace those two up there,
well,
and they said no because it's only a block to the audible light.
well, they said that, but they also said yes. There was a chance that they would have to replace the ones at Liberty and Market, or whatever it is. Luckily, we got them to put in the ADA corners down by the depot.
Right.
So that area is prepared on both sides of the street
Right.
for a crosswalk, which they simply did not put back.
Yes,
It
and
was-
that's what I'm gonna tell him, that we are basically a walk-friendly
Yeah.
community where people park and they walk from one end to the other. I mean, they told us in that meeting that the reason they weren't gonna do these in town is because of all the cars. Remember, they said they were gonna do the traffic thing, the study, and
Well, they long story, but they go to the unprotected or unsignaled crosswalk,
right.
right? And they already broke the rule.
Yeah,
When they
absolutely.
painted the stuff back at Independence
And Congress.
And Congress.
Yep.
Right, and this, Union's got traffic lights.
Right.
So they already broke their own code. It's time to go back and do what they said we would have to do
Right.
just before they did all of the other things. So I'll put some little package together about what was done back then and
Okay.
send it to you.
Thanks,
Because
I
this is,
appreciate it.
this is a fight, because the point is, there isn't any place to cross in town
Right.
that has the requirements, including the ones they let us paint. They
Right.
actually painted the crosswalks.
Yeah.
After they allowed us to put in the ADA corners. So they refused to do the ADA corners at Liberty and Market.
Right.
They just did the street.
Yeah.
So they said, well, we'll just have to come back and fix that.
Well, they
So
even got
they
one up
knew
by
something, they
the
being
school to
DOH.
come across up there.
Yeah.
You
same
know,
thing.
so I mean, that's a more dangerous
got-
intersection than these here. These people are supposed to be going 35 mile an hour.
You got a good case.
25
because-
mile an
Because
hour.
that's what towns are.
Right.
It's crosswalks. And
So,
it's, it's totally illogical that they say they can't change the timing of the light. They are the only ones who can
Right.
change
exactly
them.
so I'm going to be
It's
speaking
not
with them.
can't, it's won't.
For a state employee, you can't go away.
So I got some action real quick when we
I'll get
we did that. So in the worst case scenario, like I told her, if I got to jump in my vehicle and go to Charleston again, like we did
Yep.
6 years ago, and sit down with the Secretary of Transportation and say, look, this is unacceptable. We need this worked out. You know, our town, we're designing the town to be a walkable town.
Mhm.
So if we're designing it to be a walkable town, then we need crosswalks across 522. And it's, once the bypass gets open, it's not going to be as bad. Right. Yeah, there shouldn't be a problem, but they need to put them back now because we got people walking across the streets where we got tractor trailers and
Do
transport.
we still have those wall mannequins that we used to set at those intersections? That
The
was
little,
a hit?
the little side, they get run
They
over,
were
believe me.
destroyed.
How long?
They get run over by tractor trailers and everything.
Brother.
We spent so much money in 2 years on them things. I said enough.
It
Well,
does help,
and
but.
not to be the laughing stock, but you go to Shepherdstown, those people,
Yep.
you don't go over 10 miles an hour, and they have 4 of those little items.
Yep.
And you know what? And people respect that. And,
Yeah.
and once
Problem
we
is
get our
they-
bypass in,
We should be
This-
fine that.
Right.
But it was trucks, and then we had, wide loads coming through. Well, they never notified the police department or anybody else. They just come through and they're doing this up the road, So I always said they needed to contact us to let us know when they're bringing wide loads through, so that we can be prepared. But never get a call from them.
and you know what? We stopped the truck right out here one night, about 4:30 in the afternoon. He stopped and he dumped. Well, it actually was a protein truck
Oh,
that went right over top, and we didn't let him move because he screwed up our community. I mean, this was protein from restaurants and whatever else, and it was
Okay, we get the idea.
But the scenario is that, you know what, we have the control, and if we don't control it ourselves, guess
Nobody
what?
else is going to.
You're right.
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 So anyway,
We don't need any other people hit by cars,
absolutely.
okay?
So I'm on it. I'll be talking to this guy as soon as he calls me back. It's why I'm thinking maybe he can call me back during this meeting, but it's not happening. So it's,
Right.
so anyway, that's where I'm at right now. So thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. We'll move on. Bath Development, they're gonna have their next meeting in the courthouse the 6th of September. Their meeting, I guess, in August was canceled, or yeah, August was canceled. Parks and Recs, nobody here. Their next meeting's the 20th of September, 7 p.m. at the courthouse. Planning Commission,
Yeah, I just want to comment that we're gonna try to interview the Historic Landmarks Committee. Their meeting, I've just noticed on the same day, and I understand John just resigned. So we discussed that, but we thought the interview process would actually be helpful for them. So our plan is to attend their meeting and see what we can do as far as making sure that we can get an interview done at the same time later that day.
great, thank you, thanks. All right,
Dave, did you mean now the planning commission's gonna meet at 2 rather than 5 on
So I have,
first? Because if you're meeting with.
so it wasn't planning to move the meeting to 2. I was planning to also
go to
their meeting
Okay.
because they're gonna be doing something that I'm interested in.
Okay, all right, good.
Good deal.
So, yeah, I think a little collaboration there might be helpful for them.
sure, thanks. Any help is more than welcome. All right, Rails and Trails.
All right, let's start with that. You got my report, eh?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, there's not gonna be a meeting tomorrow. Instead, I put out for the task force, how to go in and look at the solicitation that's out on the street from BidX. You can find the entire thing on BidX. This is a little how they do it.
What is it? What-
The solicitation for the rail trail
Gotcha,
construction. You can find it, you can find all the drawings, you can find X-Team exhibits that include all the permits and all that stuff that went on for the last 6 or 8 months. So give the task force something to do, but at this point, you know where the bid opening date is on the 12th. The other thing I found out was they have a construction completion of March 28th, 2025 for the rail trail. That's that's the closest it would be. I don't know that they'll compress that.
Yeah.
There's a design and a construction that have to happen. Okay? Any questions on rail trail? All right, streetscape. I would like to introduce, you probably know him already, Jeff Duval, who we would like to join the streetscape committee. If anyone I've ever met has the right background, history, and possible temperament to do this kind of stuff, we
Well,
would like
Mr.
him.
Duvall's kept us in a lot of suspense because we've been waiting week
Yeah,
after
I
week.
know,
I know, they keep saying it.
Sorry.
Well, you know, he turned us down several times before we convinced him to come. Not true. He's going to be an excellent member to help us out with. Yes.
Absolutely, thank you.
Welcome on board, Jeff.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Glad to have you.
That's like I do. He serves at your pleasure. We can resign anytime. That's thanks to Rebecca. On the other matters, I'm going to be at the cemetery committee tomorrow, and I hope to have through the really good offices of Rebecca, we finish the RFP to something that looks like it'll work, and we'll have that show tomorrow morning. Very quickly afterwards, we're going to be talking to Karen and you to figure out how to get them all out there, which is a good thing. And I think that's all I got going. The state park coordination, I've been pushing on that. I got a name now. And Scott Horn has been in on. I've sent stuff to him, but we don't have anything to talk about yet. Once I get that, that's going to get shared. I really want people to be able to use the park without getting hurt. There's gonna be some adventurous days there with bridge removal and a new bridge filling in. And then a bunch of folks working down in the run with cofferdams. So, no floods, please.
This next streetscape meeting is at 9 AM and we'll be meeting 9 AM on the Thursday.
Third Thursday,
Here
the
on out.
21st.
Yeah, so that's a
Okay.
change.
So that's gonna be at 9 AM instead of 4, okay,
Thanks.
okay. All right, any questions on streetscapes or rail trail? If not, we're moving on to train depot.
We're just moving along with the event on November the 11th. I met with the folks last evening who want to do a food truck festival down there and trying to get some speakers. They have a band lined up, and so we're still in the kind of initial stages of putting that together. But I think it'll be great, and it will really show the community what can be done there.
Okay, good deal. All right, Landmarks Commission, you have a thing in here from one of the Landmark Commissions, but it's already been settled, so we're not going to go there. I have asked, once the Landmark Commission gets back, because we had the president resign, any communications, I want it to come from the board themselves, through the boards from the president, because we have a Landmark Commission for a reason. They talk about this stuff in the meeting, and then they can move it forward to us and report on it. So anyway, but what's in that, we've already talked about the whole thing, and it's already been settled. So that can go back there. All right, clerk and reporters report. Madam Clerk.
I'm just asking for a budget revision and I accidentally transposed the figure, so I just need to have that corrected and have a new resolution signed, please.
This is just
The resolution 2023-08-0802. I would ask for a motion. Yes, thank you.
That's okay.
I move we adopt resolution 2023-08-02 for the purpose of correcting a budget.
Second.
Yep, it's just a budget revision. I will ask for a show of hands. Any discussion first? Any discussion on this? Because we looked at it in finance. Everybody said good. All right, I'll call the question by hands. Rebecca? Mary? Susan? Greg? Tom? Rebecca, Elizabeth, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm terrible. So she just got back. She was somewhere where I'd like to have been. So anyway, that passes. So anything else, Madam Clerk?
No, we did put the building permits back on the agenda. It does need a little bit of housekeeping and cleanup before we can move forward with that.
Ordinance Committee is looking at that. I've already forwarded it to them to talk with the state on everything we need and make sure we're all aligned where we need to be aligned. So that's already been handled. So, Madam Recorder, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. Then let's go to finance. Let's pay some bills.
Make a motion that we pay the town of Bath bills in the amount of $4,778.30.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor, Greg. Motion and a second on the floor to pay the town of Bath bills in the amount of $4,778.30. Is there any discussion? Okay. I'm going to call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Make a motion that we pay the Berkeley Springs Water Works bills in the amount of $56,488.40.
Second.
I'll second.
I have a motion, a second on the floor to pay the Berkeley Springs Waterworks bills in the amount of $56,488.40. Any discussion? Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
make a motion that we pay the cemetery bills in the amount of $3,600.
Second.
Have a motion, a second on the floor to pay the cemetery bills in the amount of $3,600 even. Any discussion? Call question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Make a motion that we pay the tree board bills in the amount of $800.
Second.
I have a motion, a second on the floor to pay the tree bill board, bills in $800 even. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. All right. Anything else for finance? We good? Okay. Let's move on to tree board.
Tree board is doing preparation for their next grant application, which will involve some tree removal of damaged, diseased trees and replanting of some other trees.
Any questions for Rebecca? All right, let's move on to grants.
Grant committee met yesterday. We delayed our meeting 1 week, and we are now starting to narrow down the priorities for funding and start the work on applying for grants after Labor Day. Scott has already mentioned the fire truck. I did want to correct one thing, Scott. You had said that it's 1.2 million and then another 6,000 to 8,000. It's actually 60 to 80,000.
Yeah.
So it's actually $2 million is the actual cost, not including potential cost increases over the 2-year period from order to delivery point. So that's one thing. Another item that we're looking at is public safety expenses, safety vests, cameras out on 522. And there's another grant opportunity that I'm looking into with Department of Justice where you can get funding for salaries for additional police officers. The catch is at the end of the grant period, and it's 3 years long, you have to be prepared to assume the ongoing cost of those salaries. So you would need to be projecting responsibly and possibly optimistically about being able to sustain that commitment beyond the grant period. So that's another item we're looking at. And the last thing I wanted to mention about grants in this public meeting is we really encourage input from the public about other funding priorities that we should be spending our time and energy on. So those suggestions are welcome and appreciated. Please bring them forth. And I think that's it for initial items that we're looking at for funding.
Any questions for Mary? Okay. Let's move on to public safety. Chief, do you have anything? Okay. You want me to let the council know about that we're going to be passing on these for the cameras?
Yeah, if you want.
Is that all right with you? Okay. Last Wednesday, the chief, myself, and Sandra from up at the police department met with the gentleman that has put our security cameras in town hall. We met at the train depot. I'm going to be passing this on to finance for the train depot for the bidded price that he gave us, so the finance can look at that. We also went to the water department. So we are currently thinking about replacing the camera system that is in existence at the water department. Okay. So, and upgrading that and having more area of visibility with cameras down there. So I'll be passing that on to the water committee for you guys' consideration. So, so be prepared to look at it. Hopefully we can move on at least 2 of these. We also are currently looking at probably having to replace sooner or later our not the cameras on this building, but the recorder, because it is outdated. It's starting to get a little fuzzy on it. It's not bad right now. It's still got a fairly good picture. So, and I'll be also, we'll be discussing this in public safety and
Recorders in the police department.
yeah, in the police department, but it's going to need to be replaced, so it's almost a no-brainer that we're gonna have to go look at that, so that we make sure that we can keep up with, helping the chief. If there's something that's been around the building that goes on, that they can at least identify. It's really a good picture, and these cameras are very good of what I've seen with them. I mean, they can home in on that intersection out there and really make a good, clear picture. So, but I'm gonna be passing the water, because I had him do that just for water. Figuring that was just that whole building down there, replacing the camera system that's there. And then the train depot, I'll let you can discuss that. And then, the building, the price on that one there for the recorder. And I'm gonna let you know what the price is, even though it isn't on the agenda. Price for the recorder to replace here is $4,300. So anyway, and the other committees can discuss what they want to do and go from there. All right.
We just have the one bid at this point,
Well, I got all three of them.
but from one vendor, one
From
bid.
one vendor, yeah. He's the guy that he knows his system, and it hooks into all the cameras that are already existing here. I would rather not stray from them because they've done a great job in cameraing this building and doing that. I mean, we can, but I don't think the equipment's gonna be compatible with this. It's here probably. So, but that's the department's looking at it to see what they want. Am I right about that, Chief? I mean, you know more about camera systems than I do.
The other thing that I'll add is that, one of the things that we asked is how old is the system that we have?
Right.
And it's actually older than what I thought. So we're actually at about 8 to 9 years with the system that we have. And the recorder that we have for the existing cameras, it's done a good job for as long as it's been doing what it's doing. But we are starting to have some problems out of it. I have to do frequent resets with it. And just like the technician said when he came in, he goes, "I'm surprised this lasts this long," and it's done a good job for you. So that particular model, they're phasing out and replacing them. And he said if you go to add another camera to it, it's not going to be happy at all.
What is the life expectancy of the new system, Chief?
We have not gotten that information, but it's probably safe to say since this one almost lasted 10 years, I would expect to have at least that for an upgraded system. The cameras, we're not replacing so the bid for this building, we're not looking at replacing any of the outer cameras. We're looking at potentially adding one more camera for a view westbound here on 9, and also for replacing the recorder. Now, everything else for the train depot and the water department, everything would be brand new.
So if you could pass the water one, are they all together on your bid? Do we have to break them up? Or did he break them down per?
They're broken up into 3.
Okay. All right. Well, if you could pass that on to water to Tom so that they can discuss it in the next meeting. And the train, if Sharon, give it to Sharon, let her pass it on to Susan for the train depot so when they get together. This is something that I think we really need to really look into. The chief and I have been talking hot and heavy about, doing all this so that we can see a little bit more when on the north end especially. So like I said, I mean, it's there. We'll look at it and see.
Scott, I completely endorse the need for this. I would just suggest as a function of best practices on a municipal level, that if there is, I know that you have your preferred familiar vendor, that typically when you're getting any kind of purchase, that there's at least some competitive process to look at other vendors and pricing, because you're going to be replacing it, you did say, with new equipment. And surely this gentleman isn't the only one who carries that equipment. So I would just say, that as best practice and to make sure you got a good price, that, it's always a good idea to at least look at a couple of other vendors, and I don't know if that's actually in our ordinances or whatever at the current time, but it is a big expense, and I would just like it to be a competitive bid and buy.
Now, I don't know if the equipment that we purchased for here, the cameras would be, they'll probably come in and say they want to replace all the cameras. I can tell you that right now, I've had that happen before.
But
So,
yeah, I mean, it's just the path of least resistance is to go with your guy, and I get that, but I just think it's important to maintain the competitiveness in the procurement process.
Do we know of anybody else that does cameras? Do you know
We
that?
can research that.
I was gonna say, cause I don't know of anybody else. I mean, this is there, so if we can get them and get a meeting, let me know. We'll go through what we did last week.
Right.
So, okay, all right, well, that was just food for thought. Anything else that because we haven't had our meeting, our next meeting's we had a meeting a couple weeks ago and discussed, trying to find more help, of course. We also discussed about trying to rotate and find a way to start rotating vehicles in and out so that we can start keeping our police vehicles up to par and up to, not 5-10 years out the road, because police cars get used really hard. They idle all the time. So a police car is going to have probably double miles just because it sits there and idles all the time. There's times that you can't shut a police car off. So we discussed that, and that was about it. We discussed it in the meeting. So anyway, council. All right, let's move on from public safety to cemetery.
As Pete indicated, we have a cemetery committee meeting tomorrow. We will be spending most of our time discussing our final work on the mausoleum. We hope to be able to get a contractor within the next several weeks. So that's what we're going to spend most of our time on. In finance committee, the finance committee did recommend that the cemetery stop mowing Labor Day, and we will discuss that and as well tomorrow, and those will be the main issues that we'll be addressing.
Okay. Any questions for Beth? Okay. Let's move on to public works. Okay. Ordinance.
As mentioned, just updating our processes for building permits, stop work orders, etc. We have a planned visit to Shepherdstown tomorrow afternoon to kind of view and take a look at some of the best practices.
Okay. Any questions for Greg? All right. Move on to waterworks.
Well, we are preparing for Ron to retire. We have the person in place in Rick Mayhew, top-notch young man that's going to, I think, do a great job for us. I hope you folks will kind of excuse me in that with all my experience in the water industry, I still haven't got my sea legs under me with regards to the water committee. There's a lot that really needs to be done and to be observed. Just today, there was some discussion on parking areas around the water department, as there's not enough parking for the employees. And so we'll be discussing that at our next meeting. Our next meeting will be held on the 18th of September at a new time at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And that's to allow the employees that will be involved with that to come on our time and sit with us, and then at the end of the day they can get home at a reasonable hour because they all live a pretty good distance from here. Other than that, Mr. Mayor?
Any questions for Tom?
Do you know when Ron's last day is?
I do believe it's Monday.
Is it coming?
No. No, he's got 21 days.
He's
left.
getting, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, how many days he has left?
No,
I-
what day?
I just asked him this morning and he did say he had, that was early this morning,
He's
these guys.
counting them down. Every
Yeah, I
morning I
think
see him, he
There's
counts it
not
down by
many.
one.
He- He's got about 3 weeks of work left.
Yeah, he's counting it down.
Yes, he's counting it down, and today when I got ready to leave after we had our quick meeting, he said, this is the reason that I'm leaving. And there was a beautiful picture of a little granddaughter, his first granddaughter, Millie.
Amen.
And he said, that's it, that's it. Ain't no way I'm gonna stay. Millie gets me now, so.
Yeah, amen. Amen. All right, this is at the point where I ask anybody on council, do you have anything else to bring forward? If not, I will open it up to the floor. 3 minutes, and we'll go from there. Barb.
I apologize for being late in reading this, but I was reading the information about the cemetery in the paper. And I'm a little concerned about the money. I don't understand it. It looked like the cemetery was asking the county for $25,000. But then later in the article, it says that they got $30,000 for the upkeep of the mausoleum. I thought, how old is the mausoleum? I didn't think it was that old.
It was built in 1958.
Oh, and is it not been used or it just,
It's separate. It needs to be renovated. It needs to be made respectful looking again. And the $25,000 of the mausoleum repair is being paid by a private gift. And the other $30,000 came from the county to help restore the mausoleum to an acceptable condition.
and it's coming, the 30,000 is coming out of the county's money? Because the hotel motel is mentioned in here, which is why I'm bringing this up. Because it does say that the mowing is between $4,000 and $6,000 a year. And
40,
And 60.
yeah, it says on here,
$1,800 a week, ma'am.
it says the cost between $4,000 and $6,000.
Is that the messenger?
There's a
Yeah,
messenger,
that
yeah,
was the messenger.
okay.
I
Just
wish,
include zero.
that's what I can say.
Yeah.
And it's how much?
$1,800 a week.
Because your budget is $50,000?
What is it? We normally spend about between $35,000 and $40,000.
To mow it every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
And how many people are employed by the cemetery?
Nobody.
nobody.
It's private
It's a
contract.
contractor.
So I question why it says here that the money is being used for maintenance, which I assume is the mowing of the lawn. And legal fees, I'm sure that comes up, and insurance and workers' comp. I'm not sure what the workers' comp is for if you don't have employees.
The,
The newspaper says that, you have to ask them.
Right.
Yeah, there
We
was
don't-
some
we don't
missprints in
write.
there.
It sounds like the whole article is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Well, 3
so there
minutes
is no
is up.
workers' comp expense.
no, there's
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
You have
There
to.
is
The
write-
contractor would have to have
The
the
town
workers'
staff
comp.
has to
We
work
we do
on-
have one employee who does earn burials.
Yeah,
He makes a couple $100 a year, but he
he
still has to
hand
have
digs
work.
some of our burials and does.
But he's not an employee.
Yes, he is an employee.
So
you do
you
have an
issue him a
account?
W-2
Yes.
form?
Yes, it's W.
He's not an independent contractor.
No, he's not.
All right, it's 3 minutes is up.
Okay. But you're using hotel motel money to pay for these things?
Not for the things that you mentioned, no.
What are you using the hotel motel for?
The mausoleum and some mowing.
Yeah.
And how, in what category is the mausoleum
Well,
falling under?
We'll have to pull that out. We'll have to pull that
You
out.
can talk to the county commissioners.
Yeah,
They're the ones that
we
approved it.
decided to give last year hotel motel funds last year. So we'll have to pull that information out and we'll forward it to Barb and let her know. Because I gotta stick to my 3-minute rule or,
Okay.
so anyway, anybody
I'll get
else?
on the agenda.
All right, I would ask for a common consent to adjourn that.